But Brondo's got what plants crave.
It's got electrolytes.
Welcome to 3NN Podcast with your hosts with the most, Nick Tesla and Brian McFadden.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to 3NN Podcast, episode 31. My name is Nick Tesla. His name is
Brian McFadden.
And we're here to let you know that nothing is impossible. Impossibilities and limits are only in your mind, are only a mental construct. Okay, think about this. Elon Musk, when he was a little boy, do you think right now, if he would have thought that creating your own space travel company was possible, or if he would have thought it was impossible when he was a 10, 15-year-old kid, at any time in his life, if he really, truly believed it and stuck with that, do you think he would be the president or the owner of a company, a space travel company right now? If he thought it was impossible?
If he thought it was impossible, it's very much unlikely that he would.
When you think something's impossible, you don't even want to try.
Yeah, he wouldn't even have...
You don't even have any ambition to even see if it's possible because you just believe it's impossible. So it's all just mental constructs, Brian.
It's like people who believe it's impossible that the Democrats and Republicans are one and the same.
Oh, that's a very good correlation there, Brian. The Republicans and the Democrats are one and the same. I have my own little terminology for that I've created, I've coined. It's called the Demopublican.
A Demopublican?
No. Sorry, Demopublican is not mine that I've created. I've seen that before. But the Demopublican cake and candle. Now let me explain the Demopublican cake and candle to you. I think I may have done this for you before.
I don't recall you ever describing this one.
The Demopublican cake and candle is this, okay? When you vote Democrat or Republican, you are voting on a birthday cake, okay? Now, on that birthday cake, for a 1-year-old's birthday cake, okay, kind of small birthday cake, but it can be so good, you know? You're an adult at the party, and you're about to have some of this 1-year-old's birthday cake, and it is just some chocolate peanut butter layer cake that you are just done, right?
I can barely hear you, but continue.
You can barely hear me?
I can barely hear you.
Oh, wow. The audience can hear me just fine.
You're like mumbling.
Yeah, well, maybe I am mumbling because I'm trying to set the mood, Brian. What was I talking about?
The birthday cake.
Okay, Demopublican cake and candle, okay? Think of a birthday cake. Now, think of our political system as a birthday cake, okay? Now, your Republicans and your Democrats are both the birthday cake. And the birthday cake sucks, okay? It's a bundt cake. It's like a fruit and nut.
You just got done saying it was this wonderful cake.
No, I'm saying just think of a cake. I've started thinking of a wonderful cake that I like to eat. It's not a wonderful cake. It's a bundt cake. It's a cake that sucks, right? And it's for a 1-year-old, so it's like, oh, we got to give the kid something healthy, and he's not going to eat it anyway, so, screw it. We don't need to get something delicious. Anyway, right? The reason I'm saying it's for a 1-year-old is because there's one candle in it, okay? Now, when you see this candle, think of our political system as a cake, okay? And you think of the candle as the representation of either Democrat or Republican. So when you're voting, okay, you're voting for two different cakes. Okay, you're voting for what you think is two different cakes. Okay, you see two different cakes, and then you see one cake with a red candle in it and another cake with a blue candle in it. Okay. Now, what most people don't realize is you're actually only voting on the candles. You believe you're voting on two different cakes. You've been shown a picture of a cake with a blue candle in it, and you've been shown a picture of a cake with a red candle in it, and they're like, choose, which one do you want? All right, two different cakes, which one do you want? That's what they're telling you, two different cakes. Now, in the background and behind the scenes, whoever's taking this picture, it was actually the same cake, and they just took the red candle out and put the blue candle in. And that's what our political system really is when you're voting Republican or Democrat, the only thing that's changing is the candle, and the cake stays the same. So, and think about it. When you think of a cake and a candle, okay, when you put a candle on a cake, that candle is literally of the mass of that cake. If you think a little scientific here, the mass of that cake has, with that candle added onto it, that candle is maybe, 0.5%, 1% of the mass of that cake, maybe 2 or 3% if you got a kind of big candle or whatever. But it's not really a large chunk of the mass of that cake, right? So you can take that candle away, and most of the cake's the same. You can put a new candle down that's got some different features and this and that, and it looks like so much more appetizing. Wow, with that candle on there, that looks great. And it's like, no, same cake. We just keep getting the same cake. And for some reason, when we're all voting and then when election time comes up, everybody focuses on the fucking candle. Nobody focuses on the cake. And whenever there's somebody who comes out, like the way I put it before was Ron Paul is angel food cake. Okay, Ron Paul is like the just delicious. Okay, he may not be chocolate fudge cake, you know what I'm saying? But he's not extremely bad for you, and he's different. He's actually his whole approach to the political system and how he'd like to run things is completely different. The cake is completely different. Every other candidate I see, even his son, even though I'll give his son credit for the Patriot Act and standing up for it, I'll stand with Rand on that. That was pretty awesome, and he might win himself a presidency because of that. But when it comes down to it, everybody else is that nasty bunt nut and berry cake or nut and fruit and nut bunt cake. You know what I'm saying?
I like those really expensive, fancy ice cream cakes.
See, he likes an ice cream cake. He's more of a Vermin Supreme type of guy. Vermin Supreme.
Got to be some peanut butter in there somewhere.
Exactly. See, he wants a Vermin Supreme cake, and that's fine. Vermin Supreme's a completely different thing. But then again, Vermin Supreme, you got to realize if we were to vote somebody like Vermin Supreme in, because we could tomorrow.
Interesting.
What do you call it? Vermin Supreme is like just you're feeding your desires and your pleasures. Okay, you know what I'm saying? The Vermin Supreme. Everybody gets a pony, even though it's kind of stupid and everybody probably wouldn't end up getting a pony. Just that kind of mentality of everything's just goofy. Nothing's going to get done. You're not going to have a real system. That's why you need Ron Paul's angel food cake or somebody who has an angel food cake. But nobody's even looking at the cakes. You know what I'm saying? We argue over, my candle's better. No, my candle's better. And it's like, can we start talking about the cake or what? And they're like, no. The cake has to say the same. What you don't understand is the cake's out of their control, and the cake is a whole nother... And explain away why the cake never changes. And it's like, well, I don't want some stale, nasty cake that's been sitting there for the last, 60 years. I'd like to see a new cake move in, and I don't care what the candle is on that is on top of it as long as it ain't red or blue. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times the candle that's not red or blue is in a different cake, but nobody even wants to look at that because it's like, I'm not interested in that candle, that color candle. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in these two candles, right? And it's on the same cake, you fucking idiots. It's on the same cake. Anyway.
I like that comparison.
I've explained it better in the past. But I think I might have done it a little bit of justice there. So I guess we wanted to touch on, to start off, exactly what I was just saying, how Rand Paul stood up and basically did not allow us to renew the Patriot Act. Let it expire.
He let that filibuster run. He delayed it long enough that it expired.
Yep. And what we do have to remind everybody is, just because they say that this is the end, or that this is the end of mass collecting of metadata or whatever, or bulk collecting of our data, and spying on American citizens, this isn't the end. Just because they say it's the end, this isn't the end, because before they initiated the Patriot Act, they were doing this before, and plenty of people have come out and admitted that they were doing this before, and the Patriot Act just legalized what they were already doing before. Exactly. And now they're just going to start doing it illegally again and shuffling it under the rug again. Why not? You know, in their minds, okay, if you want to deny us access from doing it, what, you think this is the first time Congress doesn't know what we're doing? All right, we'll sweep it under the rug again. Sounds good. One guy's office goes from having a name tag on the door to that name tag turning blank, but he's still got that office. His office is just locked all the time now, so you don't even know if anybody's really in that office, but he's no longer an advertised. The thing's not advertised, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. There's no more department you can go to. It's like, it goes back to being the upper echelons of the military-industrial complex controlling it instead of having any kind of oversight, whereas we kind of had that now. So I hate to say it, but was those provisions of the Patriot Act almost a good thing? And didn't I say this before, is that with technological advancements, where maybe the Patriot Act maybe handcuffing the NSA and certain agencies from being able to fully utilize their technological ability? Think about Batman and the Dark Knight, and how, I think it was the Dark Knight, how he could look around the city with the sonar, signals that he was getting, the sonar that he was getting from cell phones. And it's like, hello, dude, that's got to be available. It's definitely got to be available and being used and utilized. And it's like, it was the Patriot Act or these provisions maybe keeping that from actually being utilized because the oversight of it, the little oversight that they had of it, it would have like raised a huge red flag to the oversight. Like, no, they can't, like, we can't let them do that. You know what I'm saying? And now it's like there's really, the oversight has kind of been not flushed down the toilet, but the oversight has been changed, and they're like, all right, nobody watching us, we can do whatever we want now. Unleash the
Nobody's
beast.
watching us.
Unleash the
We're not
Kraken.
supposed to exist.
You know,
Let's
that's
have
what they're
some
going to
fun.
do. They're just extremely pissed off, and they're going to unleash the Kraken or Cthulhu on us, and it's like the end of the
Yeah.
world. And it's not going to be the Kraken or Cthulhu. It's going to be a HARP blue beam projection of it. But you know what? I see a 1,000-foot tall Cthulhu-looking type motherfucker coming down, looking like he's ready to fucking really fuck shit up, and I see shit on fire all around me. You know what? Just like if you ever watch people playing Oculus Rift, and how their brain is tricked into believing what their eyes are seeing and what they're hearing is actually their reality. I might actually be a little bit tricked. Even though I'm in my back of my head, I'm saying Cthulhu isn't real, this is Blue Beam. And what was I saying before? What happens when the aliens invade and the guy's out on his thing like, Blue Beam, Blue Beam. and they're
You're
like,
not real. You're Blue Beam.
and they just like, he's like a bug to them, you know what I'm saying? There's like, all right, he's gone.
It's like,
you know?
okay, zap.
I don't know what he's screaming about, but he didn't run.
the hell's
so
this Blue Beam these
good for
Earthlings
him.
are talking
he stood
about?
up to us. Good for him. You know, so it's like almost like, well, could that be real Cthulhu? I'm thinking it's Blue Beam. Like, yeah, this is just Blue Beam. I ain't scared of this. All of a sudden, he's going to stomp on me, and like real Cthulhu squishes me like a fucking bug. Who knows? I don't know, man. So I think it's. I don't know how I got off on all that tangent. Oh, I guess because they'd be pissed off that this has actually happened, but I don't really think they'll be pissed off because I think if this was supposed to be pushed back through, this is all part of the charade that's going on right now, and the distraction, including Jade Helm 15, is we're being led to believe that things are shaky. The security of the nation is shaky. Why are we being led to believe that right now? You know, like, why would there be a huge training exercise with live
Confirmed. ISIS
ammunition
is
and
right
stuff
across
like that?
the border
Because
in
the
Mexico
security's
from
getting
Jade
shaky.
Helm.
Exactly.
Right across from Jade Helm, we got ISIS camped across the border.
Yeah, but remember what we came to find out about Al-Qaeda years later. Al-Qaeda was a complete and total fabrication and creation of the United States. What if ISIS
And
is...
MI6. And MI6. We got to give the British their
But what if ISIS is? What if ISIS is just a bigger operation or run by a smaller faction inside our
The
government?
way, as
or-
I understand it, it's very possible we could have all been misled, but the way I interpret it,
ISIS seems real. I'll tell you that. It
ISIS
seems
is different in that they're still being funded the same way Al Qaeda was, still being given weapons and ammunition and all that the same way Al Qaeda
real. Isn't Saudi
was.
Arabia funding them?
But Saudi Arabia, United States, Britain.
No, it's funding
But,
ISIS.
Saudi Arabia, United States, Britain. But anyway,
Okay. I'm a dummy.
the difference is, unlike Al Qaeda, which were all operatives and assets, ISIS is actual jihadists that are recruiting other actual jihadists. That's the difference.
It could be, but that's also reports.
So if they,
Are we hearing that?
so
like,
if they do decide, hey, we don't like this city,
yeah,
let's
we're
burn
also
it,
hearing that all through reports, you know, and all of our reports can be manipulated.
Very
but then
true.
again, there's so many of those reports and so much evidence to show that it's not like Al Qaeda, and it's actually a much more uncontrolled group of people than I think a lot of people would like to. A lot of people in the conspiracy world might believe that it's ISIS is completely controlled and like it's all just part of the sham
I
and
work
this
with
and
a
that. And
guy.
it's like, I'm
I
not
work
sure.
with a guy that thinks ISIS is 20 guys with a video camera and some black hoods.
In all reality, dude, ISIS could be. ISIS could be.
How
20
crazy would
guys
that be?
with a video camera. That wouldn't be the first time we were sold 20 guys with a video camera being sold that as a modern militia taking over states and taking over areas and this and that. You know what I'm saying? When in all reality, it was literally 20 guys being funded by the United States to like fuck shit up so that the United States could say, see, terrorism's getting bad. We got to send troops over. We got, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It's
that's what
like,
this guy he's thinking. It's like, yeah,
I don't blame him for
ISIS
thinking
is like
that, but-
15, 20 guys, a video camera, a couple black hoods, and some swords, and yeah, that's the real ISIS. And then these other guys think they're joining ISIS, going out here doing all this other bullshit, and they're just being jackasses.
Yeah, see, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I really don't know what the deal with ISIS really is.
It's
I don't. Honestly, I don't. My gut feeling or my gut instinct is that at some point ISIS is not going to have a singular attack on the United States. At some point, they're going to have a barrage attack on the United States,
Blitzkrieg,
an attack across maybe 3 or 4 different cities that is on a large scale, not a large scale on any kind of nuclear event like you hear some politicians or congressmen or people fucking saying when they're trying to get their Patriot Act renewed. But not on a large scale event like that.
Chicago.
But even like the destruction of a building would, in 3 or 4 different cities, all concurrently at the same time, would really start something. You know what I'm saying? Would really, like, could really turn into something. That's kind of like what I believe is.
The question is, with all the
paranoia,
built up right now surrounding Jade Helm, if ISIS were to suddenly blow up like all these buildings simultaneously, half of the people would probably be like, "Oh my God, it's ISIS." The other half will be standing there going, "Oh my God, it's another false flag." And nobody would know who's right.
Who knows?
And if we
truth.
did really get attacked at that
and
point,
hold on.
and
What if that happens?
It's a false flag.
I wouldn't put it past anybody. I don't say anybody in our government. Anybody, let's just say the perpetrators of 9/11. I wouldn't put it past them to cause 4 false flags to completely distract us from something else that's going on. You know, maybe ISIS has risen at just the right time for them and for their plan, with knowing that an asteroid is about to hit the Earth in a couple months, and it's like, we need to distract everybody, because if everybody sees all this military movement and different kinds of military movement, and there's nothing to go hand in hand with it that's like the public knows about, people are going to start freaking out, because they're going to think like this is something huge is going on. Like, it would be something they couldn't conceal, whereas now they don't need to conceal it. It's Jade Helm. People are seeing huge shit going on, and they're like, it's
a training op.
We know it's Jade Helm, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, Jade Helm could just be the distraction, whereas all this military is being gathered because there's a plan being put together that's literally getting ready to take effect or go into effect to try and stop this asteroid. You know, we've never dealt with anything like that, so we've never actually tried to stop an asteroid from hitting the planet. We've just crossed our fingers and said we hope it doesn't hit. But if we're sure that one's going to hit us, we're almost 99.9% sure that one's going to hit us, well, our preparations for that would look like nothing we've ever seen before on this planet. Because we've never seen anything like that before on this planet. And we've never had this amount of technology to be able to combat something like that.
True.
You know? So it would look crazy to most people's eyes. And you would
wait
need
a
some
second,
sort
though.
of explanation
But Nick, why do we need to do that? Remember,
and if that's the case, they're trying to save our fucking life. They're trying to save their own lives.
Nick,
but
they put the Star Wars system in orbit to protect us from asteroids. Remember, that's not a missile launcher to attack Russia. That's to protect us against the asteroids. So we don't need Jade Helm for that.
Is this too hippie thinking, or is this not too hippie thinking? Maybe it is, or is this a pipe dream? Could all these nations come together and destroy an asteroid together, and not those nations, but the people of the world decide, holy shit, that's how fragile this whole existence is? We need to stop fighting with each other and fighting over our beliefs and just accept people for who they are. If you have a different belief, we need to accept that. And if people don't want to accept that, that needs to be unacceptable. Not the fact that, what you believe is unacceptable, this or that. No. Having a problem with somebody else's belief and how somebody else chooses to live their life or what their culture is, having a problem with that is unacceptable. Maybe we go forward with that kind of a mindset and we all come together as humanity and say, you know what, we don't need these damn governments. And the governments start clinging to trying to say, oh, but you need us for this, so you need us for that, but what about this, but what about taxes, who's going to take care of this, what is that? And we're just like, we'll figure it out. We're getting it figured it out. We don't need you no more. You know what I'm saying? Like, all you guys do is divide us up and say, like, this is your land and this is that land, this and that. We're all humans here. We're all humans on the planet, and we don't want to die all separated. If we're going to die from an asteroid that could possibly hit us, we don't want to die all separated. Let's start living let's start evolving, you know what I'm saying? Like, that could really be, you know how sometimes in people's lives a really traumatic moment can change their entire life? Maybe a really traumatic moment like that for the world where we're not sure. Because if let's just say we try and blow up an asteroid before it hits the Earth, we won't know until a day before it's supposed to hit the Earth whether or not that plan worked. Or
True.
2 or 3 days, you know what I'm saying? We're not going to have much time, so that would be a traumatic event. Because people are going to be expecting to die up until 2 or 3 days before it happens, you know what I'm saying? Hence why you would need to keep it on the hush-hush for people. But could that possibly, something like that, if we were to stop that asteroid and all those nations were able to accomplish that and came together, despite all their like hatred of each other, came together to save humanity, and every single life mattered, regardless of whether they were Arab, whether it was ISIS, whether it was Cubans or whoever, whatever it is. All the enemies, all enemy illusions disappeared because we were all just humanity, just trying to protect ourselves, or trying to keep humanity alive, not trying to keep, oh, we got to keep the United States alive, we got to keep Russia alive. No, it's about keeping humanity alive, keeping the planet alive. Something like this, you're not going to be able to just say, we'll just protect ourselves and everybody else will just have to protect themselves. It's like, no, you have to protect the whole planet, or it's all or nothing, or everybody gets fucking wiped out, you know? So everybody has to come together. It's like, oh, I might hate you, but all right, let's lock arms. Let's do
maybe
this.
Maybe that's why ISIS is right across the Mexican border. People know ISIS in the United States well enough that they would question if they saw ISIS troops walking
or if
down
ISIS
the street,
is real
but
and ISIS knows that this is going on.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe that's why they
and they're
were
going to try and
positioned
steal
there.
some of the missiles. They're going to, let's just say they're trying to set up
I was
missiles
going
in
with a
Texas
different approach here. I was going with ISIS being a controlled, like Al Qaeda, like how you were saying earlier it could be. What if that's why they put them there intentionally in that area of Mexico to coincide with the area Jade Helm covers, so they can all simultaneously target this asteroid?
Yeah, but ISIS isn't going to target the asteroid.
We don't know that. We don't know whether ISIS is even real or not.
No, yeah, but that's what I'm saying is like ISIS wouldn't have the weaponry, the missile weaponry. We're talking about the
We
missiles.
don't know that either.
No. The missiles we're talking about are nuclear warheads.
True.
Are ballistic nuclear warheads are major and would need to be strapped to like Elon Musk type launching,
which could be why
it would need to be.
Maybe that's why Tesla's coming out with all this new technology. All of a sudden, they stumble upon it while trying to create.
Or maybe they didn't stumble upon it. Maybe they stumbled upon a giant military contract that dumped almost $1 trillion in their lap for these future launches. You know, all future launches.
Well, as I'm saying, maybe
government.
The things that they're coming out with, like this home battery and some of their vehicle technology, might be stuff that was invented in the process of trying to create something for this operation.
I don't know. You know what I think though? I think
they came out with a
now,
lot in recent times.
I still think that, Brian. I still think a year from now we'll be looking back on this like, I wonder what was really like. Wonder what the whole deal with everything was. You know, nothing went down with Jade Helm. That asteroid never hit.
I don't think they'll ever let us know.
What happened? Like, what was all that? Sometimes that stuff like that pops up and goes away, and you're just like, was that like they were distracting you from something that was possible or that was going to possibly happen and it didn't happen? So it's like, forget the distraction. Who cares? Nobody even wants to talk about it anymore. Or is it that they accomplished their plan? Nobody knows what they did, and distraction over. Good to go. Mission accomplished. It's like, what is it sometimes? And it's like, that's what I feel like a year from now we're going to be like, what was that all about?
Here's a possibility that none of our Jade Helm discussions have considered.
What?
Maybe the area that they chose, it's so huge, it's so great, maybe we're going to be visited.
Maybe we are. And maybe they're planning to attack and not to... And for all we know, like, they see a mothership coming. We're being told there's an asteroid coming. But in the secret communities or in the top echelons, they know it's a mothership coming, and that mothership could be coming to destroy us, or that mothership could be coming to welcome us to the Galactic Federation.
Well, I wasn't thinking so much to attack the alien visitors. I was thinking more to keep the public from
freaking out, or they're planning
discovering
Bluebeam.
They're
planning Bluebeam, dude. They could be planning Bluebeam. Or planning with that asteroid. That asteroid might not even be real, but they're planning on
Bluebeam.
But they're planning on projecting an asteroid, getting closer and closer and closer, and then as it's supposedly supposed to hit, they literally detonate like 100 nuclear warheads at the same time, and they're made sure that they're protected and they're underground and they're safe, and they literally wipe out all of the planet using a Bluebeam fake asteroid impact. Which
so
they
if
don't
anyone
realize
does
they
survive,
would ruin the planet for themselves if they try to do something.
Yeah,
like
but
that.
In a way, that's smart thinking on their part if that is their plan. Because if anyone does survive, they're not going to tell future generations or other survivors. They're not going to tell them, yeah, the government did this thing and set off all these nukes. No, they're going to say, yeah, man, this big asteroid came down and it killed everybody.
Brian, what if this is the case? There's conspiracies out there, right? I don't follow them that closely, but there's conspiracies out there that the government is run by this. The United States government is run by aliens.
Yeah.
There are conspiracies out there for that, or that the United States may not be run by aliens, but the United States is in direct communication with an alien species, and there are aliens walking among us, and it's like there's aliens that work at Area 51 and all this, and it's like a lot like kind of like Men in Black, their headquarters where there's just all these aliens all over the place, right? And it's like I've always thought that was just kind of goofy, and like there would be more evidence if that was the case. There would be much more evidence to that being the case, right? But what if some way, shape, or form, and it might not be as crazy or goofy as I just said, but one way, shape, or form, there is an alien influence on our government, and they have a major influence. And the reason why we're the police of the world, even though we fuck shit up, we're the police of the world, is because that was our mission given to us by these aliens in exchange for the technology that they've given us, or the advancements that they gave to Americans, and were able to allowed us to attribute to different great Americans, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, think about sacred geometry.
Well, there's a lot of people that say They Live as a documentary.
Yeah, exactly. Well, think of when you
Even
think about
Roddy
stuff
Piper
like that.
himself.
Okay. Exactly.
Has been
Well, think about
quoted
that.
saying
Think about it. If that's the case, Brian, if they eventually decide, well, we're going to come out and tell everybody that that's who we are,
But we're afraid
that-
they're going to freak out.
that we run your shit, and don't freak out. We run your shit. We're here. We've been here for a while. We've been here before Roswell.
Us telling
we
you
run your
doesn't
shit
change
though. Like
anything.
this is
Nothing
the United
new
States
has
is
happened, just
actually
now you know.
the United States is actually our baby, is our project. If they came out and said that, they would. I'm sure they would expect some people to be like, "Oh my God, I told you. I knew it. They're here.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome, cool. Yes, all right.
Now
cool.
we know.
Time to
Confirmed,
evolve.
right?
Exactly. Now we know. Good stuff. But there would also be other people that would be like, "What? What? What? No!" and start freaking out and
Yeah.
going outside like shooting off their gun like pop 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 pop. I can't believe this. No. It's just
And then
like-
you would have people that are in denial. Even,
Yeah, you'd have people
even
in
hearing
denial.
it from their we've been here the
There'd
whole
be
time.
chaos.
We're being invaded. No,
There'd be
dude, they've been
chaos.
here the whole
If we
time.
found
Nothing's
out that our
changing.
whole-
No, we're being invaded.
we found out that our whole economy and so many of our world systems are actually created or actually manipulated by these alien species for their own pleasure, their own gain, or whatever, and that we actually don't have much control over it whatsoever.
See
A lot of
South
there would be
Park
chaos,
episode on Earth reality
Yeah,
show.
yeah. What if this is the Earth reality show, or what's that? What if they come out and tell us that they're aliens, they're here, and the mothership's on its way to integrate our society with our home people,
We
which
are
just
the
a bunch
board.
of
You
gray
will be
aliens.
assimilated. What if that is
I don't know, dude.
the
My head hurts.
the
from all
what
this.
the hell's I can't even I can't even figure out the phrase right now. Kurzweil.
Ray Kurzweil, what about him?
Yeah,
Singularity?
Singularity. What if that is singularity? What if we know there's something like the Borg coming to assimilate us?
What if...
And that's what they're gearing up to shoot down.
Remember the spaghetti monster we talked about on the last episode?
We did, yes.
And how you talked about the Star Trek episode where they went and saw, not the spaghetti monster, but they saw what was God. What if the Black Knight satellite is our beacon, and which tells God in the vastness of space exactly where we are, because God may be omnipotent, but that doesn't mean he has the best GPS. Okay, but if his GPS is connected to, let's just say, the Black Knight satellite, he'd know exactly how to get to us and could go directly to us if he wanted. But what if there's an energy or a black hole or some literally glob of dark matter or condensed form of dark matter hurtling towards us at the speed of light? And it's going to be here in a couple months. And nobody has any idea what it is, but it's hurtling towards us. And there's a lot of people who...
You're talking like something out of the Fifth Element now.
No, not even out of the Fifth Element. I'm talking about literally God coming to... I don't want to say set shit straight, because it wouldn't be the God that people think, like, oh, God with his white beard rolling up on Earth, like, all right, now it's time to fucking kick the politician to
At that point, you can pretty much assume you're seeing Project
God
Blue
coming
Beam.
to set shit straight as far as sucking the planet into oblivion, or
Yeah.
sucking the planet into nothingness, or cleansing the planet, like literally how in so many...
like
in
in
so
the,
many...
like in the Bible?
Exactly, like
The
in the
flood,
Bible,
the great flood?
how God comes and takes all the saved people, but what if all those saved people, they think they're saved, and God actually comes and takes all of the people that are negatively influencing the planet? You know, not all negativity. There's still people. You'll have plenty of positive people who have bad days and can be an asshole or can say mean things sometimes and this and that. But their general outlook and their general focus is positivity and on fixing and solutions and not on making shit worse or like, oh well, you know what I'm saying, I got to make money, so fuck it. You know, it's like, no, people who have a determination to do the right thing and this and that. And it's like everybody else just kind of gets absorbed back into the fucking source. And it's like, all right, we need to kind of fucking level the playing field. Like a Noah's Ark, but on a whole nother, grand scale. You know what I'm saying? And, like, it could be like how when Noah's Ark happened, everybody was like, they didn't quite know exactly what the molecular construct of water was or this or that. But
or maybe
they knew
did.
that water fucked them up. Just like we might not know what the molecular, we might know that it's dark matter. And we can call that dark matter. But all of a sudden that dark matter passes over us. That cloud of dark matter passes over us and everybody disappears. And we can't understand why it did that. Whereas 100 years from now, especially if we advance because of that, 100 years from now, we might understand, well, that dark matter, every time you see a cloud of dark matter, is actually an intelligent representation of creation. Or of the creation of the universe, whether it be the creator, God, whatever it is. And so every now and then, it roams the universe looking for where it needs to cleanse. And sometimes a satellite will appear around a planet or in the sky above a planet that needs to be cleansed or needs to be rebooted. You know, and when it passes through, well, another thing you gotta realize is when it passes through, it is the universe and reality itself all in one, so it can do almost anything when it passes through. It can give the people it leaves superpowers. We could be able to fly after that, right? And it could also, as it passes through, just think about this thing as just being like literally like a cloud of gas that just goes over the planet. But as it goes over the planet, all piece of shit people and assholes and fucking and shitty people are fucking removed from the planet. All the vegetation is renewed. All the rivers, all, like, you know what I'm saying, like all the pollution is removed. You know what I'm saying? All the fucking, like, all the extinct life is brought back to life. You know what I'm saying? Like, things are not, obviously not dinosaurs, but
well, it's
everything is renewed, and we're left with like a paradise.
Would you agree with in your years
and
in
somebody
existence,
will eventually ruin that Eden?
Well, yeah, of course. But in your research, your experiences, would you agree to at least to some extent that technologically advanced man has walked the earth before, maybe possibly pre-biblical times?
Yes.
Okay, now
Huge belief in that.
Okay, now, as long as you believe that, this will work.
Okay.
Now, Noah's Ark. Here's a possibility for you. What if Noah's Ark wasn't this big wooden ship with two of every animal on it? Because let's realistically, look at the logistics of that. But a DNA bank, however,
okay, hold on.
You could fit that in a briefcase.
Or, hold on that same exact tip. I like your DNA bank idea, but on that same exact tip, have you ever heard some UFO stories about people talking about a UFO that is literally miles wide or miles long?
You're talking like Independence Day type size?
Bigger.
Because those were supposed to be 15 miles.
Yeah, I've heard people talk about, like, out in the desert seeing, like, shits that could be 50 or 60 miles wide. Exactly, like, huge. Now think about that.
That'd be like a mothership.
Hold on, think about that. Exactly. Motherships, if UFOs are coming here, motherships have stopped by, maybe not as frequently, but motherships have stopped by, right? Mm-hmm. Or large ships. You also got to think, like, when you think about a ship that large, are the occupants inside of it 10 times the size of us? And to them, it's like the size of a regular ship, and we're just like ants. You know what I'm saying? And like we never see them outside of their ship because it would just cause complete and total utter chaos immediately as soon as they stepped outside of their ship because they're so much larger than us, and it would be something you can't hide.
That could be those giant skeletons that keep getting found?
Nah, even bigger. These would be even bigger. And I'm talking about people, like, they look like aliens. They don't look like us, right? But what was I saying? Basically, those giant aliens, right? Think about a giant ship like that coming in pre-biblical times, whatever you want to call it, around Noah's Ark time. A giant ship, mothership like that coming and literally collecting and some entity coming out calling
as the story goes, Noah was given instructions and he built this ark. Now, he could He given instructions to collect DNA for a DNA bank. I don't think Noah himself could probably build a 60-mile mothership.
No. But think about it this way: Noah comes down and says, "Ooh, ice cream!" No. Noah
says ice cream.
Noah
There's an
appears
ice
on the
cream
scene,
truck
right?
driving by.
Exactly. You can make up a whole history for Noah and say what his life story is and this and that. And that could be true or that could not be true. And if it's not true, Noah might have just showed up on the spot one day, and then after a year or two of blending in with everybody, he said, "I've been contacted by God. I've been contacted by the almighty power, and it's told me to build a ship for all of this stuff, for all of these, for all of these things, all of the animal, all the life on this planet, right? And I've been contacted by the gods, and I'm going to build this ship." Okay? Everybody who sees the ship as he's building it believes that he's building a ship for water, because when he says ship, they think, okay, the only ship that we know of is a ship for water, right? And when they see him building it, the closest thing that their eyes can place as to what he's building is a ship. And they've already thought it's a ship on water, you know what I'm saying? Because it's so large. Like, that thing's not going to fly. Like, in their minds, that thing's not going to fly. How are you going to roll that thing? You know, obviously,
I would think they probably weren't even thinking in terms of a flying ship at the time.
Exactly, you know what I'm saying? In their mind, the flying ship doesn't even exist. And then all of a sudden the flood hits. Nobody's sticking around looking at the ark. There's not a group of people around the ark like, "Oh no, you were right." No, people wash away, and the flood's like major, and it's like all of a sudden the ark starts to wash away. Well, what if the
I
ark
don't think it
didn't
was
wash
major.
away?
It was probably incremental because the way it flooded, it rained for 40 days and 40
That's what I'm
nights.
saying. But what if that wasn't the case? What if after 38 days and 39
big
days,
ass tsunami come through and just?
No, I'm saying what if that wasn't actually a floating ship? It was an actual spaceship, and Noah was actually an alien, and nobody knew that. And Noah was collecting all the life on Earth to save it because he knew that cataclysm was coming, or that flood was coming, because the flood wasn't actually caused by God, even though he had to tell everybody he was there because God sent him to make the thing, because nobody else
if he said
would
anything else,
nobody else would let him gather up all these animals without saying, "You know what? We're going to go kill him and take all those animals and feed all these people," because who is he to be gathering one of every animal? Like
two
he's
of
got to
every
say
animal.
exactly two of every animal. So he's got to say, "God sent me on this mission." But what if Noah was just an alien and built himself a spaceship and either was able to cloak it to make it look like a ship, or the materials he was using somewhat resembled a ship as he was building it? It somewhat resembled a floating ship, and then he loaded everything into it. Everybody was able to witness that, figured that it was going to go floating away, and it started to rain. Everybody starts freaking out because it's starting to flood and it's starting to go crazy. And next thing you know,
So it could be
he floats off, and it wasn't that all of the life on Earth was brought back down on Earth. It's that it was an alien ship, so they were able to recreate all of that life on Earth and take it throughout the galaxy with them, but they dropped off 2 of each. They left 2 of each on Earth, or maybe even families of each on Earth, to make sure that those species survived and continued on after this flood, because they were really just a peaceful race. And maybe that ark will one day come back, and it's like that alien that called himself Noah will come out thinking that people will still believe, like, I was sent by God, and we're just going to shoot him. Like, we don't believe nobody coming out of a spaceship that looks like a dude is sent by God. We're fucking shooting at that dude, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying we are. I'm talking about the military and shit.
Yeah.
They're not going to be like, "Oh, you are sent by God." No, they're going to be like, "God don't exist, blah, 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 blah." You know?
Oh yeah, they're especially the military today with the things they're being taught about, like Christians and evangelists being the enemy.
Exactly.
If somebody were to land, get out of a spaceship, and say God sent me here, half of the military would probably turn and be like, We created God. Get the fuck out of here.
Now, if he just showed back up, let's just look at it this way. If he showed back up cloaked or some shit, landed in the ocean or landed like somewhere out in the desert or some shit, and just let go all of the animals and sent the ship back into space or whatever, even just buried the ship or left it there cloaked, and walked through, just started walking. You're like, all right, I'm back on Earth. Cool. It's thousands of years later, but I'm back on Earth. He started walking to some town and started telling people who he is. I'm Noah. I'm the son of God. Blah blah blah. Or not the son of God, but I'm.
Yeah, I don't think Noah's the son of
No.
God.
I'm Noah. I've got a message from God or whatever. Blah blah blah. I've done work for God. You know my story. Blah blah blah. People are gonna be like, dude, you're insane. Sorry,
Yeah,
but you're
he'd be
crazy.
locked up in an
Sorry.
institution
because there
within
are
a day.
people out there that say that they've lived off planet for a certain number of years.
It's sad
with
to
an
say
alien
this, but we're
race
at such
in
a state
UFO.
in our society nowadays. That guy that's saying that, he could walk into, I'd say maybe at this point in our country, let's be honest, like 80 to 90% of churches in this country, he could walk into a Christian or Catholic church and say, "Hi, I'm Noah," and even they'll think he's insane, even if he's telling the
Think
truth.
about it this way, dude. I personally believe that if Jesus Christ is real and the whole Christianity thing is real, okay, the whole belief of Christianity, the whole story of Christianity is real, then Jesus has already come back. And you know what? He came back probably 20 or 30 years ago. He was back and a grown adult and everything like
And
that.
I don't think he liked what he saw one bit.
No, I don't think he liked what he saw one bit either. But you know what? He still had love for humanity and just wanted things to get better and tried to let people know. Because whereas before, when he let people know I'm the Son of God, I mean Jesus Christ, they listened. When he was here before, they listened. Their eyes lit up like, wow, the things you say really are like powerful things. Now we got Tony Robbins, we got fucking Wayne Dyer,
yeah.
we got people that say powerful stuff. So if somebody comes
That's what
around
I'm
and
saying.
says,
I like to
I'm
think
the
he-
Son of God and I'm Jesus Christ and this and that, so people are just like, yeah,
I'd like to think
so,
he's
bro.
come back in a few forms, one of them being Martin Luther King.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he's come back in any forms because I don't believe in Christianity myself. But if Christianity were to be true or is true, then I believe he has already come back. And yeah, maybe if it is true,
I'm saying
maybe he
more
did
than once.
come
I'm
back
thinking
as a-
multiple times. I'm thinking once as Dr.
Well, also,
King,
you remember what I
possibly
believe,
some
how
other-
a soul once left from this plane has the ability to divvy itself up because time doesn't exist, so it can divvy itself up and live multiple timelines. And it's like, to us, we're like, no, you couldn't do that because it's like me and you could be the same exact person. It's like when I die right now, I divvy myself up into fucking two souls. One goes off and does something else, and another soul is like, you know what? I'm going to be Brian this time. I'm going to come back as Brian. And all of a sudden, you're fucking, here you are talking to me with fucking, and we're both fucking part of the same soul. Like, whoa, what the fuck? And it's like, that's some crazy shit. And like when you hear people talking about, oh, we're soulmates, and it's like,
I found my soulmate.
a lot of time, I honestly think 90% of the time that's bullshit, and that's people who are just really infatuated and really do genuinely like each other a lot. But I feel like I was in a situation, and I believe there's multiple kinds of like soulmates or multiple kind of. I believe you can be a piece of many different souls that comes together. And it's like, you know what, we're gonna be a soul this time. We're gonna be our own person. You know what I'm saying? It's like 5-10 different fucking souls can come together and all turn into like string cheese. All come together and turn into one soul and one consciousness, right? But it's like I believe that. What was I gonna say? I believe that everything fucking that once you die, your soul can split up innumerably, and that I am a slice of Nick Tesla, a slice of Jesus, a slice of some random guy, a slice of a homeless guy, a slice of a guy that was in a war because I've had this dream that a dream of watching like a giant nuclear fucking detonation go off in front of me like 5 miles away. So I've had a dream that I was once a soldier or some shit. Like I have these different aspects that make up me.
It seems you may have been in World War II.
Yeah, and I honestly believe that's the 5 or 6 or 10 or whatever souls that make me up. You know, and I also have my own genuine soul that I most closely associate to. When I think of my soul, there's all these different slices, but then there's also the center soul. Like, you know what I'm saying? And that's the soul where all these different slices came on to help out and be a part of this experience, but the one center soul is the one that I always feel the most centered and close to. You know? That makes
Makes
sense?
sense.
Maybe it
I see
does.
what you're getting at.
I don't know. How about this fucking 11-year-old graduating with 3 degrees from American River College? What are your thoughts on that? Be right.
I'm thinking Doogie Howser, MD, exists.
Doogie
There's
Howser,
hope for
MD.
the future. Kids are learning something.
No, it's not about kids learning something. You know what this is? This could be this kid's parents, and if it is his parents, you know, those
Graduated
parents
from
did a
high
really
school
good
at
job.
age 10, and now at age 11, he's graduating with 3 degrees from American River College, and he has his sights set on a medical degree.
Hold on, 3 degrees from a college in a year and a half. And you hear people out there saying, well, I don't have time for this, and I don't have time for that, or I couldn't possibly do that. And it's like, and a lot of times it's one course in a 4-year college, or you know what I'm saying? It's like, but what this really tells me is, this has nothing to do with, in my mind, this has nothing to do with the youth and wow,
And
like
to clarify,
the youth is
he
really...
wasn't taking it wasn't some sit-at-home internet class that he could sit on for hours a day and work his own pace.
Is this like the first time you've seen something like this, Brian? I've always followed
in
this kind of
reality,
stuff.
yes.
Yeah, I've always followed this kind of stuff.
I mean, I used to watch
pretty closely.
Doogie Howser when I was a kid.
And exactly, Doogie Howser made you think like, wow.
Graduated with a perfect 4.0
that's
GPA.
the stuff of TV.
The first time I came to a college class, I wasn't really nervous, so this isn't much of a big thing to me. He
No.
wasn't intimidated by taking classes with students
Yes,
twice
Brian,
his age.
It's what you don't understand is, and I came across this is what started me on my little journey I've been on for the past couple months of really understanding myself, understanding life, and really what it takes to be successful at life, right? And I've come across a few cases like that where children, okay, these are children. I've come across cases where there's kids who aren't even 1 year old yet, aren't one yet, and are already talking and forming basic sentences. And they're not even 1 year old yet. Most people are like, wait, my kid can't talk till they're like one and a half. At the earliest, they might start saying a word or like ba 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 ba. You know what I'm saying? But it's like most people don't think that their kid can talk at an early age. But what the truth is the younger you start teaching your child, if you could start teaching your child within the first 2-3 months after it's born, then your child is going to absorb almost every single bit. And it's like a lot of people are like, well, how do you teach a kid at a couple months old? And it's like I can imagine it's not the easiest thing. Oh my God, I think there's been literally this thing's been playing our whole time. Oh no, the volume's been down. Okay. What do you call it? It's when it comes down to that, it's not. What was I just saying?
I don't know. I lost it when you started.
Yeah, I know. I got
looking at-
distracted by that shit. What do you call it? There's kids that can talk at 1 year old. There's who can talk fluently at 1 year old. Maybe not like a full-grown adult, but at 1.5, they're talking like a full-grown adult. There's kids who walk and are up and walking with no problem by 1 year old. What happens is, up until about 18 or 19 years old, the brain is constantly developing. But the younger a brain starts taking in knowledge, the more it has the ability to withhold that knowledge or to intake and hold on to that knowledge. So if you start teaching a child at 3 months old, by the time that child is 3 years old, that child is literally 10 years ahead of the game. But if you start teaching that child the same exact stuff at 3 years old, by the time that child's 6 years old, the child's where a 6-year-old usually is. Maybe a year ahead of the game, you know, because you started teaching it at 3 years old instead of 4 or some shit. You know what I'm saying? Or you started teaching it more stuff than just the average. These are your ABCs, and this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's like, think about teaching a 2-year-old multiplication and subtraction. Like, that's what kind of kid that is.
Yeah.
Is where the parents realize our kids doesn't have to be an idiot. Our kid can be a genius right now. And it's like a lot of parents treat their kids like idiots. One, they like, oh, you don't know anything. Like, parents know best, blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh, you still got a lot to learn, you know what I'm saying? It's like, even if they get A's in school, it's like, yeah, but you haven't experienced the real world yet. And some parents are like, you know, my kid has every opportunity to know, like, everything. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not going to make my kid feel like, oh, well, you have to grow up before you can really learn stuff, or you can only learn what you're allowed to learn in school, and there's so much more, but you got to wait for that. This, that. Some parents are just like, I want my kid to have every opportunity to succeed, in the sense that I want my kid to have all the information that it's able to comprehend as early as it's able to comprehend. And it's like, and that also with that kind of a kid, when you do that at 3 months old, you're teaching that kid. By the time that kid's 1 year old, there's nothing wrong. It doesn't, like, it never had the opportunity to say, I don't want to do this. This is boring to me. I don't like this. No, it's just somewhat interested. But by the time that kid's 5 years old, that kid is just constantly like, all right, well, I want to learn about this now, and I want to learn about this, and you know what? Maybe okay, well, I think I'm going to go to school. You know what? I think I'd like to be in 6th grade next year. And it's like, well, you're not even out of 1st grade yet. And it's like, well, you know what? I want to learn everything I have to learn. I'm going to take all the tests, do everything, and it's like they're just. And when you have a kid like that, nobody says no, 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 no. Some people do, and a lot of times it comes down to the parents. But nobody says no, no, no. You're not allowed to do that. You have to wait, and you have to go at the correct pace, and this and that. If a kid is willing to learn as much as they want to learn and take all the tests and pass all the tests, I've seen it. I've seen it with my own eyes in my school. And it's like by the time I was in middle school, that kid had already graduated high school, and he was my age. And it's like, if you're smart enough, you can skip classes. You can skip grades if you're smart enough. And it's not that you're going from 3rd grade to 8th grade. No, you realize, and a lot of times, like the first couple of years, it does take them a couple of years because they don't fully realize that you're able to. And I think their parents and also school doesn't realize, like, we don't have first grade. Like, they don't look at it like a first grader is able to do that because a first grader is still learning pretty basic stuff. But a lot of times, some point in 1st and 2nd grade, these kids grow into this mindset of, you know what? I want to succeed as fast as I can. I want to learn as much as I can. And I want to get all of this over with so that I can learn more and get further and accomplish more and succeed more. And it's like, whereas most kids are just like, oh, man, I can't wait until summer's here. This kid's like, can I get all of my schoolwork done or all of the curriculum done by summer, have all the tests passed, before summer that I need to have passed so that I can be 2 grades ahead next year. Can I do that? And it's like a lot of times you would think like with those kids, like, oh, they go to the teacher and teacher's like, no, 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 there's a plan, there's a process, there's this and that. No. When a kid is fully serious about it and his parents are backing him up and fully serious about it, the school just says, okay, well, we want him to get his education. If he can prove to us, if he's passing all the tests, he can prove to us that he's learning all the stuff, then we will give him the curriculum. As he's requesting it, we will give it to him. He passes the test, we'll advance him on. We understand he has a plan. He has, like, if there had never been anybody in the past that had ever done it before, I could understand it being like, that's just, no, sorry, but you don't do that, right? But there have been kids who have done it in the past, like that kid right there, where they're graduating college at 11 or 12 years old.
Yo, let's give the kid his credit.
I never
read his name. It is Tanish Abraham.
Do you know what this kid's going to be? 16, 17 years old? He's going to be like an Elon Musk, or at least the CEO or owner of a multi-million-dollar company.
Well, right now he's 11.
By the time that kid's 17, 18 years old.
I'm looking at him here, drinking his milkshake, wearing his graduation cap and some, I guess, medals or medallions from his college graduation. He's out with his family having a good night.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. That's awesome. Yep. And it's all it is a mindset. All it is a mindset. His parents backed him up.
Look how happy that kid is, too.
Yep. Well, see, like, and that's, I think we get turned off, and our parents do it to us too, is we get turned off, and this kid's parents didn't care if he was looked at as a nerd or didn't care if there was anybody that would call him a nerd or whatever, because they saw the inherent value in it no matter what, right? But a lot of parents and a lot of peers and the people around us as we're growing up kind of give us this mindset about being a nerd or about like working hard, studying and learning. They give us this mindset that's just, you're just like corny, or you're just a nerd, or what are you trying to kiss the teacher's ass, or you know what I'm saying? It's like you're always kind of looked down on for really going the extra mile. You know what I'm saying? You got to get what you got to get done because you're trying to pass. You're not trying to get left behind and fail. But
no, because then you get made fun of for that too.
Let's look at it this way:
no win.
If it's after school, and you're getting on the bus, and you're reading a book, and then the same people get off the bus with you and see you 2 hours later sitting at the park reading the same exact book, and it's not a school book; it's just some nice piece of fiction, whether it be a Mark Twain book or some shit. But you're sitting there reading that book. To a lot of people, in the high school world and in the youth world, it's just like, you nerd. Oh, come on. You like, what a nerd. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, and that kind of thing. And it's not even like they would yell that to that person.
Back in middle school.
But that kind of feeling or that kind of emotion, those people can feel that. And they're like, oh, I don't want to feel that way.
No, back in middle, I didn't give a shit. No, back in middle school, they did this thing where,
it's like, be a nerd and you'll be fucking rich.
I forget what it was. I forget what you had to do. But I mean, you did something, and you would get like these credits that you could go down to the library at the end of the week, and there was like this big treasure chest down there full of all kinds of candy and toys and some books in there. And I remember I won and got called down there the one time, me and like these 2 other kids, and they're down there grabbing the Hershey bars and the Kit Kats. I think I took a copy of Treasure Island. And even the librarians are like, see that? He took a book.
And I came to realize that about myself, is I was kind of the same way. And for a long time, I got all these books, and I'm like, I don't read my books. What's wrong with me? How come I'm not reading my books? I know I don't like
I actually read
books,
it. I took it home and read it.
No, but that's what I'm saying is, Brian, I forgot for at least a good fucking 5 or 6 years, I used to love books. Not novels, not Harry Potter books, but random books. If it was a book where it was just page after page after page after page after page of just words, I'm like, I don't want nothing to do with it. But if it was a book where I go page, and there's a picture for half of the page, and it's a pretty like interesting, visually appetizing picture, I might give that book a chance. If it's a magazine, I'm reading almost every article in that magazine. That's what just hit me the other day. I was like, wait. I like to think I didn't read, but I used to read magazines like almost daily. I used to literally read maybe 5 or 6 magazine articles daily. And it's like, I think back on myself, and this is part of my, over the past couple months, is like working on myself type of shit, is I look back on like, I felt like I almost felt like I had more ammunition. Like, I feel like I'm a funny person, but I almost feel like I had more ammunition to be funny when I was a younger person. And for a long time, I couldn't realize, like, how come I don't feel like I have as much ammunition now? It's like, am I getting stupid? Am I losing my memory or this or that? It's like, what I realized is when I was a younger person, my input was so many different things. Different computer games, different stuff. I even know the internet was literally 0.5% of my time. Not 1% of my time, 0.5% of my time when I was a teenager and when I was a kid, right? Okay, and now the internet's such a giant chunk of my time. But books was actually maybe 5% to 10% of my time. You know what I'm saying? Going outside and just either running. Of course, you're a kid and you're going to play. And when you're an adult, it's like going outside to play is not exactly something that you're going to do. But I would still go outside.
I would laugh my ass off to see a bunch of like 30, 40, 50-year-olds playing Cowboys and Indians.
Or playing tag or something.
Great.
You know what I'm saying? Like playing tag.
Or playing Commando, but with like the toy orange guns.
Yeah, but it's like, the thing is, when I was reading all those magazines and delving into books every now and then, not like I read books all the time, but we had not Encyclopedia Britannica, we had the cheap, not the cheap version, the kids version. It wasn't the Encyclopedia Britannica, but it was a kids version of an encyclopedia set. And
I know what you mean. I had the same thing.
I used to look in there randomly. Like, I would just choose a random book and look in there and choose a random page and just read that whole page, you know, and see like and the words are always big, so it's not like I ever felt like, oh, this is too much to read or this or that. But it's like, I read things a lot, and I always kept it short. That was the one good thing about me, I guess. I never sat there and read a book for 3 days straight or something like that. Usually what I was reading, I was done reading within 20 minutes or so, you know what I'm saying? Like, if it was an article, I'm done reading that article within 20 minutes. If it's a magazine, I'm done reading that article within like an hour or an hour and a half. But it's like, I never spent so much time, but each one of those little articles, each one of those times I looked in those books, that was giving me ammunition. And I didn't even realize it. And now all of a sudden I'm looking like, where's my ammunition? Well, I ain't reading shit. You know what I'm saying? I've been focusing on, for the past few years, or past couple of years, for a while, I didn't focus on anything but video games and TV. But for the past couple of years, I've been focusing on one specific range of shit. And that really, for that range of shit, you kind of have to be connected with the internet, on current events, following current events somewhat. And if you really want to know your shit when it comes to that, you got to spend a lot of time studying that shit. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I really enjoyed that for a while, but now I feel like I'm missing out on a lot of other things. And I think for the past couple months, until a couple days ago or a couple weeks ago, I couldn't realize how I could really start like expanding myself. You know what I'm saying? How I could start expanding and learning new information, this and that, without feeling like I'm looking at the internet or having to watch TV or this and that. And it's like, hold up. Books. What did I do before? Hold on. When I was a little kid, if I got bored with TV or I got bored with the computer, or I came in from outside and there was nobody to play with and I was just bored that day, or not even if I was bored, if I was just looking for something interesting, didn't feel like sitting there vegging, what would I do? Oh, I got a magazine. Let me go grab that magazine. I'll just read the magazine. All right. Well, let me see. What do we got on the bookshelf? I'm going to see what's on the bookshelf. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it was never... Like, now I have this resistance to it because TV is so much better. And if the TV's not better, well, not TV, sorry, internet is so much better. If internet's not better, then watching YouTube videos that I like on the TV, that's so much better. And it's like, I feel like there's not enough time for books. When in all reality, the books are what I always came back to. And the books are what I need to get back to, because it's like the books... The internet and TV and watching YouTube videos doesn't give me nearly as much ammunition as these books. Whereas for a long time, I thought books don't give you ammunition. Books are just kind of boring.
Now you see why I've been borrowing so many books off of you the past few months.
Valuable thing that you can get. In all reality, I've heard many people say this, and it's not an easy thing to do. And trust me, it's not something I'm going to be able to get to doing anytime in the next year or two. But I'd like to get to that point eventually. Is you should read a book a day. Sounds insane. Wait, I work. If I work 8 hours a day and you know what I'm saying? It's like I get up in the morning and go to work. Like most people get up in the morning and go to work. When they come home, it's like, all right, maybe I'm willing to read a book for an hour a day or something. A lot of people are willing to make that. But when it comes to read a book a day, well, hold up. What if I pick up a book and it's 250 pages? I got 250 pages I got to read that day? And it's like, well, if you pick up a book that's, choose your book in the morning. You pick up your book that's 250 pages, take that sumbitch with you. Ain't nobody gonna get mad at you. I know if you're at work.
I am reading David Icke's Guide to the Global Takeover.
That's a big one.
You could not I don't care who you are, you're not reading that in a day.
See, and that's what I'm saying, is there's certain books that no matter who you are, exactly, you can't read that book in a whole day. But the point is to dedicate, like how we dedicate 3 hours of our time.
63 documents the government doesn't want you to read. That book is not that thick. The writing in it's fairly large. The documents are reprinted, so you get letterheads and space and redacted, blacked out areas. I couldn't even read that in a day.
All right, there's two things also. There's two things when it comes to this. There are some books that you couldn't read in a day. That you could read in a day, and I'll tell you how, Brian.
I'd have to
when
be off
you
work
think
that
of
day.
limitation, when you think of limitation, you often immediately, when you think there is a limitation, like the limit of the 4-minute mile, or the limit of running the 4-minute mile, the limit of nobody can read War and Peace in a day, you know what I'm saying, in a couple hours, or without taking off work, nobody can read War and Peace, you know what I'm saying? It's like thinking of, well, it just can't be done, you know what I'm saying? Nobody can do that. And it's like when you think like that, well, you don't think of a solution. You don't think of any way that it could be done because it's impossible, like just like what I was saying before. And it's like, but if you think, well, how could it be done? Really, how could it be done? So now, Brian, switch your brain around real quick. And if I tell you that you need to read, I'm not saying you need to, but if I tell you to read David Icke's Guide to the Global Conspiracy in one day, instead of remove the impossibility barrier, okay? And don't think of it in any kind of a negative light. Instead of focusing on the problem of having to read a book in a day and work that around a work schedule or this or that, think in a positive light of what you could do that would allow you to read that book in one day, and it might not even cause a burp in your day. Might not cause you any stress whatsoever, or not be a burden.
No. When I'm reading this book in one day, am I factoring in 8 hours of that 24 for sleep, or Okay,
8 hours for sleep, 8 hours for work.
Okay, so I'm reading this book in 8 hours.
Let's put it this way,
okay,
Brian.
Hold on. Okay, that's
we'll
fine.
use my work schedule, even though my work schedule is different from yours, but we both work about an 8-hour day, correct?
In order to accomplish this, you would have to read approximately 2.25 pages per minute.
Yeah. Now, what is all right?
And that's really tiny print.
I like your mind, though, Brian. You're starting to break free from those chains of limitation. All right. Now, think in your mind, real quick, what could you possibly do to be able to read 2.5 pages a minute? What the fuck could you possibly do to be able to read 2.5 pages per minute?
Skip shit that's not important.
I guess, yeah. I like your thought of being able to at least come to a solution. It's not the best. It's actually probably the worst solution. But in a more positive light.
Read the first and last sentence of every paragraph.
No, I won't. I won't drag it on any further than it needs to go. Speed reading, Brian. And a lot of people think speed reading is bullshit, and I'm here to tell you that it's not. I taught
I've
myself to
attempted
speed
it
read.
and have not
and
been successful.
I've taught myself to speed read
I
in
always
6th
have to
grade
go back and
did it
reread
for
it.
a couple months. You know, it was fun, but it was like if with my ADD brain, it's not the easiest for me to lock in all the information when I speed read. And I can still speed read to this day, not
Yeah,
nearly as quick as I could when I was a kid. But
If I'm speed reading, I might lock in maybe 20% of what I read.
But you're not speed reading. Here's the thing: is speed reading, and I came to find this out after I taught myself to speed read and stopped doing it when I was a kid. And I came to realize I wasn't even really speed reading. I was pretending to speed read and doing my best impression of speed reading. But right,
Pretending.
listen to this. Speed reading is actually something that you're trained to do. And it takes practice. Of course it takes practice, just like with anything else, it takes practice. But speed reading, there are certain techniques, and there's a method and a way to learn to speed read. And it's not just, let me try and read this as quick as I can. No, it's not that at all. It's literally training your brain to read a sentence at a time, or to read a paragraph at a time. And you think, well, that's not possible. You got to read one word at a time. It's like, no, when you start to realize that you can literally train your brain to skip words like at, of, a, little words that are automatically going to be filled in by your brain, you start to realize that you can read a whole page in about 15 seconds, 15 to 30 seconds, if you really perfect those techniques. So hence, speed reading, with speed reading, you can read a book a day, almost any book it is. Now, I'm not telling anybody out there, well, you need to read a book a day, and if you say you can't, then you need to go learn how to speed read. No, but I'm showing you that that's really, it's possible, and that limitation is only really in your brain, as far as that goes, you know? So it's completely possible, and I think, as far as books go, you should read at least a book a week, I would think. I guess I'm a hypocrite. I'm a hypocrite right now.
More than reasonable.
I'm a hypocrite right now because, you know, I haven't read a book in probably over a year now.
I'm a hypocrite because I've been reading David Icke's Guide for weeks now at this point. But
Yeah, see, and that's what the thing
that
is.
is a big book with a lot of
It's-
detailed information to take in.
When you hear somebody say read a book a day, it's not about reading a whole entire book a day. If you want to skim through a book in a day and read a chapter here and a chapter there and a few pages here and a few pages there, I don't think you're going to get all the information you need, but that's still better than not reading anything at all that day. But I think it's more about dedicating to yourself that just as we come home and watch TV after work every night, or we come home and jump on the internet after we get home from work every night, okay? Just as that is almost a guaranteed that we give ourselves, and we feel like we're gaining from that, yeah, we're gaining entertainment and pleasure from it, or that kind of value from it. With books, we can gain the exact same thing.
This is true.
You know? Yeah,
Wow,
it's fucking
sounds
Rocco.
like
It's Rocco.
sounds like all hell's breaking loose out there.
It's Rocky. Oh, ain't nothing breaking loose. All right, so we got to wrap it up, right? But I wanted to, I guess you wanted to touch on the 7-year-old woman who shoots a robot and is arrested after a 22-hour standoff. Aw, that's so sweet, Granny.
Isn't it?
Granny shot a robot and then had a standoff with the SWAT team, and now she's in jail. Aw, Granny, what are you doing?
Apparently, Granny, 70-year-old woman, shot a robot used by the police and was arrested after a 22-hour standoff following a call to the authorities with what she said was a medical emergency. So apparently, she called 911, said that she needed a paramedic, and when they showed up, she pulled a gun, and for some reason, that was caused to evacuate the entire mobile home park when Granny pulled a gun. And then the police, according to NBC News, police threw a flashbang grenade that basically had no success.
Exactly.
Then they sent the robot to check on her, and it's when she shot the robot.
What the fuck is that thing? What is that?
Right.
Get away from me!
After 22 hours, crisis negotiators worked tirelessly throughout the day using various tactics to try and persuade the woman to surrender peacefully. She was taken into custody and is expected to be charged with
Assault with a
Assault
deadly
with a
weapon
deadly
against a firefighter. Is that robot technically a firefighter, or did she like punch a firefighter in his mouth or bite a
The way I
firefighter? Or something?
understand this, that robot is a police officer or
He's
a
a
police
fire-
robot.
No. The way I'm understanding that is that that's a robot used to check homes that are on fire and things like that, used by the fire department. Hence why it might be an actual deadly weapon against a firefighter, because they consider that robot an actual firefighter because they
member of
use
the
it to
team,
save
yeah.
lives and to make sure people see if anybody's in a burning building where they don't have to send in a firefighter and take the chance on the firefighter getting killed by a dropping burning beam or something like that, or the building collapsing on them.
Well, that would set a dangerous precedent, though, if they use that approach. If all of a sudden you're going to give technology the same rights you give man, if you the same protections. Oh,
They give it to company.
You shot at this computer. You're under arrest and on trial for attempted murder.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they would go that far, but also think about like on the battlefield. Do you think if somebody shoots an RPG at a robotic military vehicle, a robotic U.S. military vehicle, do you think the military says, all right, whatever, it's just a robot? No, they treat that as, they get pissed off like that's one of their boys. Like, yo, what the fuck? Like, because they treat those robots like they're their boys. And whereas
True.
I think these firefighters treat that robot like it's another one of the team, even though it doesn't come out and have a drink with them or this or that. When it goes to a fire, they bring that robot with them because it's an important part, and it's making sure that no firefighter has to go in and risk their life. You know what I'm saying? So it's a very
This is
important
true.
thing. So they might actually have a statute where they consider somebody trying to damage that or somebody trying to destroy that illegally or whatever it is, unlawfully, that can be construed as attacking. Same as if you had a police bomb squad robot. If somebody tried to go up and attack a bomb squad robot or something like that, or shoot at a bomb squad robot while it was pulling up to the scene to go defuse a bomb that could be saving the lives of the 100 people around it or some shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like somebody shoots at that, then that might be construed as shooting at a police officer because that was technically a police officer controlling that thing, trying to do a mission and save lives, you know? I don't know.
Well, it seems to me like Granny just had a senior moment.
Oh, dude, I just wish I could have. Like, you ever wish that sometimes reality TV was not reality TV the way we have it now, but was just cameras in random people's homes? And yeah, I know.
Just
Trust me,
random stuff
I know
like
that's
that.
an invasion of privacy, but it's not about cameras in people's homes to watch them 24/7 and record all that, which they would do anyway. But it's about those cameras in those homes to catch. Literally, you could record everything and get rid of it 30 seconds later, but to catch if something like that happens. You know what I'm saying? Whereas it can just have a log of it and we can all see that video. Because I would love to see that granny shooting at a robot. Like, what are you doing? Get out of my house! Pop, pop! You broke my window!
What the hell is that thing?
All right, Brian, on that note, we have got to wrap it up. This was a fun episode to talk about. The Patriot Act is dead, folks. It's going to rise back from the grave like a zombie. It's not even
only
going to
dead
get
on the surface. They're still doing it, but we can
It's
celebrate
not even
for a moment.
It's not even going to get
Stand
buried.
with Rand.
It's not even going to get buried. All right, we might have a viewing for it. We're going through the viewing phase. All right, but it's not even going to get buried. It's going to pop up out that damn casket and come back to life stronger than ever before you know it. So I don't get your hopes up. But hey, but you know what? Rand Paul, good
Thank
job.
you, Rand.
I'll stand with Rand on that one, even though I still don't like Rand, not much at all. I like your dad, but maybe Pops had a talk with him. Yeah.
It's possible.
Mamas, don't let your babies grow up to be cowboys. All right. On that note, everybody have a great week. This has been a great 3NN 31. We will see you next week for 3NN 32.
That'll be our second episode as Free People.
Yes. Free and easy. We're gonna call it Going Commando.
Going Commando.
So catch us for 3NN 32 Going Commando. 3NN 31 was brought to you by The Garbage Man, Crusher of Dreams. Check us out on Facebook.com/Where We Lied To, Facebook.com/3NN Podcasts, YouTube.com/Where We Lied To. I don't know why I said Facebook, but that is one too. And I don't know. Everybody check out New Jersey Weed Man's Joint. It's a restaurant opening up in 2 weeks in Trenton, 322 East State Street, Trenton, New Jersey, right across from the City Hall. It's going to be a blast. I think everybody should come out and really check out the restaurant and try some of the food. I'm trying the food this week.
I have not tried the food, but I've heard
I'm
rave
going to be
reviews
trying the food
about
this week. Well, the food's it's not open yet, so you really don't know exactly what the food's like. But
Not he's had
people.
He's people coming through tasting
exactly,
it, and
so
he's
I'm-
getting great reviews.
I'm hoping that when I go this week that I can try some, and I will definitely give my review. I'm sure it's great food. But we'll come to find out.
As
We will
I
find
understand
out,
it, he
won't
hired a
Caribbean chef, right?
18-year
Yeah.
executive chef.
we?
So.
Dude's got Caribbean background, right, or Caribbean food background,
and is
so-
also a personal trainer.
Oh man, it's gonna be
So
awesome.
when he
food.
says he's serving healthy food, you're getting healthy food.
It's going to be awesome. It's about body, mind, and soul, taking care of both. That's why he's got the Liberty Bell Temple connected right next to it. And it's for anybody that's interested in Rastafarianism. I'm not trying to be an evangelist here or anything like it, but Rastafarianism is, I can tell you what, a much more sacred or a much more honest religion than 90% of religions out there, in my opinion. All right, I'm not Rastafarian. I'm not religious.
90% of organized
I'm
religions.
100% spiritual, 110% spiritual, 0% religious. But you know what? I have much respect for other people's faith. I don't have respect for your man-made religion and the rules of that religion and what your pastor tells you is what you need to think and what's right and what's wrong as far as what some other guys have said. But as far as your faith in a higher power, if you need religion or your religion gives you that, then you know what? I'm not going to knock it. Good shit. More power to you. More of that higher power to you. You know? Good shit. All right, well, Brian, it's been a great episode.
I just, real quick, as we sign off, if anyone's interested.
AOL, we're signing off.
Well, anyone who's still listening at this point and hasn't shut us off yet, if you're wondering, I just caught at the bottom of the article we were just discussing, it is unknown if the robot was damaged.
Yeah. I don't know if the robot was damaged, but apparently he was assaulted with a deadly weapon.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Right?
It was good times. This was a blast, Brian.
Good times.
Once again, Patriot Act. Wonderful thing that the Patriot Act. I'm like sitting back like
Oh, it's
the microphone
beautiful.
can hear me. That's what I got for you, Patriot Act.
It's a beautiful day in America.
Take that and pack it in your ass. All right, so everybody have a great night or a great week, and we will see you next week on Wednesday at 9 p.m. for another 3NN Spectacular. And also let us know, like and comment. Please like, subscribe, comment, share, all that good stuff. And let us know what you think of our new intro song. And also, keep in mind, within the next month, we will be setting up, if anybody is interested in calling into the show, whether you want to call in and just BS with us, or you want to call in, you have something very important that you want to talk about or you want to address, we're here for you. Okay? So, and what I'm saying is we have a call-in number now. So if anybody is interested in calling into the show, we do film the show on a preset time or at a preset time, so it's not live, so we'd have to give you the time. But we're more than interested in having anybody with something interesting to share out there come on to the show. So reach out to us. We'll reach out to you, and we'll give each other reach-arounds. All right. Thanks. Have a great week. Bye.
You're gonna get hit in the ball.